Go ahead. Firstly, I really want to thank you, all of you, for the efforts that you have been putting into the table for the last 3 months. And as you know, zkIgnite has been the crucial program that we have in our ecosystem, which where we really build all together the future of Mina. That's why I think it's very exciting. And after all the O1GS updates and different infrastructure such as protocol deco or like signatures to Ethereum, I think we made a great progress on the infrastructure side too. That's why I'm really excited to see what we're capable of, and like we're also lucky to have you all on board. And before going into presentations, I want to remind the process. So as you know, this all groups have 5 assigned electors. So your submissions plus these recordings and the presentations have been sent to these electors, and they will evaluate if you hit the milestones or not. And the final results will be public on 26th January. So I also see some mentors here. So again, like huge shout out to all stakeholders, like builders, electors, and mentors. And let's give the start with. I think the first one should be Marek.
It's me. Hi, guys.
Hey.
I suppose I can share my screen.
Yes, you should be able to.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's going to be a mixed presentation because there will be a little bit of demo and a little bit of slides at the same time. So allow me to first open my ZK app. And in parallel, in a very chaotic mode, I will also open the slides. I'm Marek, and I present to you my zkIgnite Cohort 2 work, it's called MAC, which stands for Mina Arbitrated Contracts. And for those of you who haven't seen my midpoint demo, I will just briefly say what this ZK app is. But first, maybe let's load snarky.js and hit the compile button, because this will allow us to save some time. And just connect a wallet and run the compile circuit. And let's get back to the slides. So the app that is open in the background, it's a smart contract editor and generator and a deploy tool. It allows one to create escrow smart contracts which have multiple participants. And these smart contracts can be used to secure transactions. So you can, for example, create some sort of deal on the blockchain where a third party has to verify if the deal was fulfilled. And you can specify penalties and rewards and deposits and penalties, like everything. And you don't need to know any programming to do it. So while it is compiling in the background, let's just keep going. So this is a modified presentation from the midpoint demo, updated with the most recent results. So everything you see here is before the midpoint, and this is after. So where we are, I would say it's pretty much done. So just go one by one. So one of the milestones was refactoring, because what I delivered for cohort 0, this project was originally proposed for cohort 0, was pretty buggy. Like, just to deliver on time, I had to disable TypeScript. Oh, it's compiled in the background. I had to disable TypeScript and just to have a thing that runs. So there was many type errors, which I just ignored. And I really felt it's insecure and not reliable. So I decided to commit to, during the cohort, to fix those type errors and enable TypeScript again. So I actually did. So all the TypeScript type errors are resolved, and TypeScript is back on. And actually, the app you see in the background has TypeScript enabled and it's type safe. So this part is done, of course. Another thing was to update SnarkyJS to OAuth1.js. I encountered a lot of obstacles doing it because it was very old SnarkyJS. I finished this up in December 2022, so quite a long time ago. I had to open some issues and even some pull requests, and eventually we managed to do it. And we have most recent O1.js. It actually improved compile time. During the last presentation, I said it didn't, but I actually forgot that compile time was taking sometimes up to 20 minutes, and 7 minutes was best case scenario. And after updating O1.js, just that, it improved. It was 6.6 minutes in average. So just that improved compile time. Yeah, and also UI. So it's both contract and UI because they need to have the same O1.js. So let me pause the presentation for now and do a little bit in the app now, just so that we can also take advantage of time of proving to go through further slides. So this tool allows you to create smart contracts. So let's just go to ZK app and create a new ZK app. It needs to have some private key. So this is a ZK app private key. It's blurred so that it's not visible, but it's possible to copy and paste it. So I just paste it here. There will be three participants: employer, contractor, and arbiter. Employer is someone who pays for something to be done. I conveniently already have values in suggestions, so I can do it a bit faster. Contractor is someone who is going to do something. So this Mina address is the Mina address of a person who's going to be paid for doing something. And the third party, arbiter, is someone who decides if it was done. Let me just quickly check if you guys, okay. I'm just looking if you're still there. So contract subject, what this person, this contractor has to do in exchange for payment from the employer. Let's just say that will make a meme about Mina and share it on Twitter. Whatever. It's just an example. You could, for example, you could paste a URL here. You could paste a URL from eBay or Facebook Marketplace and say the person delivers, I don't know, whatever I purchased there. Or it's very universal because it's human verified. So this is how much will be paid. That's just 0.01 Mina. And this is the security deposit. So this is what can be lost for not doing what is required to do. There are some penalties, which are fractions for canceling, for failure. Actually, let me just correct. Security deposit is not for failing. It's just something that the contractor has to pay for the time of execution of the contract, so that there is something at stake. It's not just has to do something, but just to prevent ignoring participation. Security deposit, everyone needs to put security deposit and have something and have some fees for the arbitration. So everyone pays for the arbitration in this scheme. Payment, how much the arbiter is paid, and of course also has to put some security deposit and has some non-acting penalty, which is also a fraction. There are some deadlines which are expressed in block times. I forgot what is the minimum and maximum here, but I think it should be like 10 blocks or something. And here we can put some additional context because the contract is human verified. So we need also human readable descriptions, right? So everyone has paid. Success. So this will be for the arbiter the information when this is satisfied. So meme was created and shared on Twitter. Was it Twitter? Yes, Twitter. Okay. Failure. Nothing was shared, or what was shared was not offered. For example, I'm just improvising. Cancel, someone decided to not act. Okay, so we created the smart contract. We can deploy it. We can also export it. Finalize. So this is a serialized smart contract. So the employer creates this contract and has to send this string to the remaining parties to be imported so that they can also participate in this. So let's just deploy it. Deploy. So now it's proving, and once proved and the transaction is ready, the Oro wallet should pop up and we can deploy it. So now it's a good time to continue with our slides. So, and actually this is a perfect slide to get back to because it's I think it's the most important milestone actually. So the previous version of the zk app required all the parties who wants to participate the contract to declare their private keys, because the former version of Snarky.js was not supporting deployment with Oro Wallet. It was due to transaction building, and I just couldn't deliver that in cohort 0, and I really wanted to do it in cohort 2 because like handling private key makes sense maybe for a game or something that produces a lot of transactions. But here, I think it makes it very vulnerable to attacks, like handling users' private keys pretty much. Like it's causing a security issue because private key could leak. It would require people to create separate wallets just to participate in this. So as you could see, I was able to actually hit the run deploy. I mean, the deploy is not yet ready because it's still proving, but I didn't need to provide the private key of the participant. I had to only invent a private key for the zk app. So that's done, and it's a huge achievement, I think, because it makes this app much more professional, and we don't really need to create separate wallet just to try it. And so the UI became much lighter because of this, because before there was like private key mode and Oro mode, and it was like so confusing. So this was the most important milestone in my opinion, and it's done. So further, we have the transaction. Okay, so there is account creation fee here, and yeah, produced a transaction. Let's just confirm it. Okay, that should be it. So of course it's not still pending because we just submitted it, but the proving was fine. No private key, Oro did everything and submitted. There's no errors here so far. So we just wait for it to get confirmed. It's still pending. And let's get back to our slides. So remember when I copied this string here, there is a UI that permits a user to paste it. Maybe I'll show it to you later if we still have time. And this UI was just really, really bad because I wanted it to look nice, but I just couldn't make text area element look nice like this. So I just made editable HTML element back then. And it was performing pretty badly. It was working, but it was bad UI. Like user had to like right click, put edit, and it was very annoying. And for the cohort 2, I committed to actually take a quote unquote proper editor. So import some JavaScript library with code editor or something like this, and just use that instead. And I looked them up and they were pretty heavy and they had lots of features I did not need. So eventually I created my own component, which is based on text area, and they actually look the same. So this is an example page, a screenshot where you can see like they look pretty much the same, but the text area one is perfectly editable and doesn't cause all the issues that we had with editable HTML element. So that's done as well. Let's continue. Community work promoting the project. So yeah, honestly, I'm not very satisfied with this milestone. I committed to regularly post on Discord and, make tutorials and advertise. And yeah, I wouldn't say I did it because honestly, while working on it, I kept finding more and more UI bugs. Like running this whole flow with all those transactions takes quite a long time. And imagine like you go halfway, you find that some button doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Like even here, like the deploy button was supposed to show proving, but sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And the UI was often stuck in the middle. So I just didn't really wanted to encourage people to try it when there was still huge bugs there, because I was worried people will, like try it, see it doesn't work, and then, not want to try again because of this. So the time I would normally spend promoting, I spent just fixing those little bugs and improving. But anyway, just to be perfectly honest, I don't really feel satisfied with this milestone. So just keep going. UI improvements. Oh, and also let's see this transaction if it was confirmed. Still pending. Okay. So UI improvements. You guys recall when I was creating the smart contract, there was like very, very long form. So Mario, one of my mentors, suggested to change it into a wizard form, which I think it's an excellent suggestion. And I didn't really turn it into a wizard form, and the reason for that is there was still bugs in the UI, as I just mentioned. Like there were like buttons that didn't work. There were like moments in the UI when it was just getting stuck, and I was just worried making it more complex while still not fully operational, and I didn't want to make it worse, so I just focused on fixing the bugs. And with this UI, I can very quickly test the app, so it was improving my performance during the development. But I did some other UI improvements instead. So one of the things, while working on the ZK app, I noticed that Berkeley sometimes did not really respond. It was unreachable. So it was recommended to me to try test world. So I implemented a component allowing to choose the network. So it was not really committed in the milestones, but I did it just to be able to use the app and test it, even if Berkeley is not responding, or the Berkeley node. And thanks to that, we are actually ready for mainnet, because once the ZK apps are available on mainnet, I can quickly just add mainnet support because I already have this component. That's one extra thing in the UI improvements that was done. Another thing is, of course, the error handling, because before, in the previous version of the app, assuming the network would not respond, there was it would just not tell you anything. So you would just try to do things, but it would just not work without any information. And now in this version, there's a proper error handling. So if Berkeley or any other network doesn't respond, you will just see this and you will know something is not right, and not just waste your time trying to do things even though it won't work. So the error handling is another extra improvement. I would say UI improvements I'm pretty much satisfied with that one. And the initialize step. So you guys notice I hit deploy, there is no initialize here. So it was a design issue because in the previous version of the app, you had to deploy the contract and then you had to initialize it. So make another transaction that takes the hash of this, the Poseidon hash, to commit this newly created smart contract to a particular escrow smart contract that is encoded with this. Because on chain, I only store the commitment hash. And the deployment was much faster. So proving was faster than now. However, there was an extra transaction to be made. So the overall time of deploying was longer. And I actually combined it into a single transaction. So it required also some changes in the smart contract, not only in the UI. And even though the proving is a little bit longer, there's just one step to do to deploy. So that part is done. And it's also new. Compilation time improvement. So I'm extremely satisfied with that because, as I said at the beginning of this presentation, compilation time was just dreadful. Like sometimes it was taking, I don't know, 20 minutes, up to 20 minutes in the previous version. After update from SnarkyJS to 01JS, it became always around 6 minutes, not between 7 and 20. And after caching, because I added caching, like it takes in average 1.2 minutes. So thanks to that, we are actually able to execute it because otherwise it's just too long to do the demo. So and it was also like optional in the milestones, but it's done and I think it performs really well. I really like it. So that's the overall schedule. Just a reminder slide. And of course it's deployed, as you can see in the background. I encourage you to visit it. There's my Discord here visible and also Twitter thread with all the updates and details. Let's just see if our transaction is confirmed. Yep, it's confirmed. So we created a zk app in the UI without coding, and we deployed it, and it's on chain. And there was no errors. And I don't know if there's something else I can show you here. So this UI permits you to interact with this app. Of course, it's buggy. Like the most recent bug is this block time doesn't update. It was updated in previous version. So for that reason, to have those buttons light up, depending on the state, so everyone deposits, withdraws, and you have to sort of refresh, recompile, and import the app. You can import it using this. So normally, like let's say I close it. Once I close it, I can no longer interact. So I can just import, and this is where I just paste this. So let's say I'm one of the other parties. And this is the new editor, by the way. It works very smooth. I can just import it. And I'm supposed to have the same zk app here now. So yeah, I think that's all I have to show and say. I'm sorry I didn't do entire flow. I need to use free wallets. And unfortunately, there is a small bug with Oro. I already discussed it with New. So like, let's say if I just switch the account, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it works, depending on which account I'm switching to. As you can see, not very reliable. I already discussed it with developers from Oro Wallet. They confirmed it's a bug and it will be fixed in next release. And it still persists even if you have free browser windows, because if you change in one, it also changes in another somehow. So it's very difficult to test like all the flow of free parties, but the smart contract is tested using the automated tests. So these withdrawals and deposits, the net changes depending on the scenario do work. And I also did test the entire flow in the previous version. So I think we still have 4 minutes, so maybe it's a good opportunity for you guys to ask some questions if you have any. So I will stop sharing my screen. And I'm back to you guys.
Welcome back. So Marek, I see some questions in the chat plus some hands. First question is, what do you plan next for Mac?
What's next?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good question. I think next is have some rest from Mac, and then the inspiration of new features will arise, and then I will know. But for sure, I need to fix the more bugs I found. Like I want this block time to really always update and not sometimes update.
Mhm.
So that for sure. And yeah, and I don't know. Like I'm open to suggestions if anyone has ideas.
Awesome. Ivan?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a few questions and maybe
Yep.
even propose some improvements. Can you hear me well? Because I have a small background noise.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So the first question is, do you consider yourself as a more front-end developer, or rather your expertise, you would describe your expertise as mostly like O1GS?
I definitely don't consider myself a front-end developer. Actually, Michael's code really saved me when it comes to front-end because I had problems making Next.js compile and so many options. So I'm more like O1JS developer, and I'm more interested in the smart contract and protocol part, but I am able to make some UI, just to figure out. I think that was the
Great.
question. Did I?
So yeah, great. So yeah, well, the first thing I would suggest you to just to move faster with this project. Actually, I think this is amazing project, and it showcases the Mina's capabilities, and also it has some some real world, I don't know, fit. So
Thank you.
so what I would suggest you to is to find someone who consider himself as an expert in React in front end, because from what I've heard, uh, I think that the, the the issues you encounter with front end are rather easier to fix. Uh, of course, if you're like if you have expertise in front end, so so maybe find a colleague, maybe find a friend who can help you, and then you can concentrate on the backend side.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Thank you so much. So officially, I announced the job opening for front-end developer for this project. Anyone interested, please let me know on Discord.
I
Cool,
I'm
cool.
I'm sure Philip doesn't have a lot of time, but like Philip, I consider him as a master in front end, like the Philip Filipovic.
Thank
Okay,
you.
let me introduce myself. I'm Filip Lupic. I was mentor in this last cohort. And if you need any help related to front-end technologies, you can reach out to me. I have a lot of experience with snarky JS frontends. So there is a specific set of issues which is related to front-end on Mina zk apps. So maybe I can give you some advices, or maybe find someone to help you develop, or maybe make a proposal for next cohort, or
Awesome. So next time as a team.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
So feel free to connect on LinkedIn, and or just send me a message on Discord. I will leave my Discord handle here. So
Okay. Thank you.
Cool, nice. I have one more question, Ziggy app-wise question. Like, so from what I understand, like you have a single contract implemented, which implements this escrow functionality and
Yep.
approval and like the flow of the contract. And so, as far as I understand, you deploy it using your front end, like
Correct.
with yeah, and like to make things easier, to for example, you can remove totally the compile if you will if you will precompile it firmware and just include this into your bundle, and then like write another simple smart contract which will just deploy this contract from another contract, so that the user wouldn't need to even compile and deploy it himself. He will just like, because the verification key stays the same, and you can just like I know that there are parameters, so you can initialize them as the next step after deployment.
Yes.
So that's
So
the
actually, the verification keys are already cached. So what you just saw was already with cached verification keys.
Okay, got it. Maybe I need
And
to look.
actually, it takes around 1 GB of caching to download. Like each of them is like 130
really?
something megs. It's a pretty huge.
Great.
Like it
Okay.
worked really smoothly because I have fast internet. But I suppose if you were in some place with poor connection, it would just create new verification keys, and compilation would be 6 minutes. But yeah, it's a great suggestion. I'm actually looking for further improvement of compilation time. And regarding the deploying a new contract, actually, this reminds me, one feature idea I had would be like the echo mode. So you don't really need to create a new contract every time, but you could repurpose a previous contract which was already created and finalized. So there is no interaction there. And this way you could also save 1 Mina account creation fee for each interaction.
Yeah, nice idea. So yeah, I think I need some more time to review your project implementation wise. But anyways, I'd like to express my overall feelings is that like you have like very good attitude and a very good I don't know, approach to building and also presenting. And I really like your honesty when presenting this project. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Marek, and also thanks for the questions, the crowd.
Thank you.
Let's continue for the sake of time. Raidas is next. Raidas, are you there?
Yep. Hello. Thanks, Session. Let me see if I can share my screen. Yep. So, do you guys see it?
Yes, we see.
Cool. All right. So my name is Raidas, and the project I was working on in this cohort was initially called zk Smart ID, and then in the process we renamed it to ID Mask, essentially. So to put it shortly, the project is about creating a zk app using which users can create 3 proofs: proof of age, proof of not being sanctioned on the OFAC list, and some kind of a proof of unique human being. Right. So that's the basic idea, and it has a number of components. So let's just go over to the milestones and see and look into the components. So I guess so in total there are 3 milestones. And so the first one is the zk Oracle. It's an oracle that helps the app to fetch personal data into the client side and then use it to create the zk proofs. So so we finished this oracle, and it's a very specific oracle because it interacts with the Smart ID app that is super popular app in the Baltic states that is used by all of the banks basically, and every government service on the internet. You use the Smart ID to authenticate yourself, And so in the background, what happens is that that app allows other apps to ask for some personal data of someone, and that someone authorize this this request on their phone. So essentially, this Oracle is all about this interaction with the Smart ID and fetching personal identification data into the client side. So I'll not go deeper into the details, but yeah, so the Oracle is finished, and essentially anyone who wishes to fetch the data of people living in the Baltic states and using the Smart ID app can do that using this Oracle. So yeah, let's just conclude with the Oracle milestone. Yeah, it's essentially finished. Then the second milestone was about the documentation and the UI. So essentially, that's the documentation where we can try out every endpoint and just get to know the logic of it, albeit just looking at the endpoints is not going to be enough. Therefore, we also have a documentation with concrete examples and code examples. How would anyone be able to fetch this data and use it in some example zk app? Okay, so this is also finished. It's not perfect. This documentation could probably be more extensive and improved, but I think it's pretty good for now. And the third milestone is about an app that uses the zk Oracle mentioned before and allows user to create these 3 proofs. As I said before, proof of unique human, proof of adulthood, and not being on the international sanctions list. So this is also finished. The app is accessible on idmask.xyz. And yep, it allows users to create these 3 proofs, to either create them. It also allows for the third parties to verify these proofs. And on top of that, anyone can explore these proofs, and some of the proofs might be put on Mina blockchain and hence can be fetched here and investigated. So I did a small UI demo on the intermediate like the first presentation we did before. So I'm not gonna delve here into this, and I'll look into some code. So just to wrap up on the milestones. So there were 3 milestones. All of them are finished. Maybe one side note to mention here is that when I created this proposal, I initially thought that as if I'm creating an infrastructure that would be used by other developers, as if I'm creating an open source zk Oracle that other developers can use to fetch the data from people living in the Baltic states. But somewhere on the process of implementing all this, I realized that this is not very feasible. Like the other developers are not going to be using this Oracle because of the limited geographical scope and whatnot. And as I was working with the project, I realized it's just for me. And then I started to put much more efforts into building the app into the third milestone instead of the first 2, because because I realized that this is what creates most of the value. And generally, I wanted to make an app that's cool and usable. Yep. Okay. So I'll finish with that and just delve into some code and explanations of how does this whole app work. Yeah, let me just check if I'm still online. Right. Okay. So
Yes.
yeah. Cool. So let's just go through the logic of the app and investigate the main steps that are necessary to create the proof. So the first step is about fetching that personal data into the client side. And I just want to show what's the result of it. How does it look like? So whenever we interact with the Smart ID, or in this case with the zk Oracle, or it could be any other online digital authentication service that essentially provides us with the name, surname, country of residence, personal identification number, and current date. So this is essentially the data that is needed to create any kind of proof. And in this case, these three proofs that I've discussed previously. So this is something that unifies all the three proofs. The first step is to fetch all this data. And then another important thing is to have it signed. So the zk Oracle signs this data, this way preventing the user from tampering with it. So yeah, let's look into the zk program that essentially creates this proof. So we're looking into proof of age, and let's just go over real quick what's the logic behind this proof. So the public input to this program is the age that we wish to prove we are older than. So let's say usually that will be 18 or 21 or whatever. Public output is a structure, a struct. Here's an example of how it looks. So it's essentially just outputting, again, the age that we are proving and current date. Now, the zk program has only one method, and that method is prove your age. The private inputs here is the personal data and the signature of the personal data. So that's the basic logic. What do we do inside the method? We verify the signature, essentially checking if the data is actually valid and not being tampered with. Then we parse the date of birth of the person from the personal identification number, just to make sure it's clear. So here's the personal identification number. And so, for example, here, this person is born in 1882. So this 2 is telling us about century, and then 82 is the so 2 is telling us that the person is born in 18th century, and then 82 is the last 2 years, and then it's November 26th. So the date of birth is encoded inside this little string we call personal identification number. Okay, let's continue over from this point. So once we have the date of birth, we just do some simple math to check if current date minus the number of years we wish to prove we are older than is higher than our date of birth. Very simple. And we assert that the result is true. That is basically it. The program itself is, I think, very straightforward and not complicated at all. So by this time, if we run that program successfully, here's the result. Here's what we've created. So that is public input saying that we are proving we are older than 21 years of age. Then it's public output. It's again holding the same number as well as the date the proof was created, which might be important for the third parties that consume these proofs. So we'll talk a bit, later a bit more. And then it's just the proof itself. So then the big question is, what do we do with this proof? Okay, so we have a JSON in our pocket, but how do I pass it over to someone that wants to know that I'm older than 21 years of age? Do I pass it over? Do I give that person the JSON? Not very convenient. So this is a big question. How do we store these proofs and how do we pass them over to third parties? So one way that we can implement this is to essentially put this proof on chain and simply say to someone, here's my public address. Go take a look. The proof is on chain. So instead of passing a JSON that has the proof inside of it, we are giving over our public key and saying, hey, you can check if this public key has an associated proof or not. So the smart contract that implements this is extremely simple. So what we see is, so this smart contract has an event defined. So an event is called provided valid proof. So we're going to emit this event if the user has proof of age proof. So essentially it has a single method. If we look over here, and that method verifies if the proof is valid or not, and then emits this event. This event is then saved on Mina archive nodes and can be accessed and checked by anyone, essentially saying, here's the public key. Let's just see if this public key has emitted an event of providing a valid proof. Yep, so these are like four, I think, pretty simple steps on how it works. So let's go over the proof of non-sanctions real quick. How does this thing work? Well, this is slightly more complicated because we also have to check against the OFAC database. And so the creation of this proof includes two interactions with the zk oracle. First, we get this personal data, and then the second interaction. So here's a Node.js code. This is not a O1.js code. In the second interaction, we are passing over our personal data to the Oracle for it to check this search OFAC API and confirm using our name, surname, and personal identification number that we are not sanctioned and are not part of the database. So this check is performed by the zk oracle, and then it sends back a response saying, hey, this person is matched or not. So that's just a Boolean. So if the person is matched, the response will be true. If the person is not, it's going to be false. And it again includes a signature. That's very basic for the zk oracle. And then this is an example of a response. This is a person that is that is being sanctioned. So yeah, it's not the Boolean, it's just one, but it doesn't matter. And here's some additional data about that person. So that's how the response would look like if the person was sanctioned. If it's not, it's just going to be 0, and that's it. And then essentially we just repeat the same logic. If you follow it, the smart contract is going to be extremely simple. All we do is just check if is matched is 1 or not, and validate the signature. That's basically it. And on top of that, saving it to Mina L1 is also going to be very simple and is going to follow the same logic we looked before with the proof of age. Also, real quick, let's go through the proof of unique human. So again, the first step is as before, we fetch personal data from the zk oracle, and then we create a proof of unique human. So the idea of it is as follows. What we do is we create a unique hash that is unique to this person. Very simple. We take his name, we convert it to fields. We take his surname, convert it to fields. Take personal information number, again, convert it to fields. Additional secret value that we convert to fields, and we just come up with Poseidon hash. This Poseidon hash is unique to this person, and essentially no one can fake it. Single person can only create the same single hash. Yeah, that's the logic of it. There are some more details, but I don't know, maybe I'll skip them. These are just technical details. So let me just real quick jump to this slide. So overall, this is kind of a higher overview of this app. And so we have an app. We have ID Mask that creates these zk proofs. We've just looked at its code. But it turns out that the tricky part is not to write this zk programs and produce these codes. The tricky part is to figure out how do we get the personal data into the client side, and once we produce the proofs, how do we store, where do we store them, and how third parties can easily use these proofs. So this middle part, I think, is like relatively easy. The tricky part is in the very beginning. It's on fetching the data, and then at the very end of the app, how do we store the proofs that we've just produced? So yeah, the parts in blue, these ones are essentially implemented as part of this proposal and as part of this project. And these gray parts are some additional ideas that we've come up with and we've been thinking about. So once we realized where the tricky parts lie, we started to think, like, how do we expand this app? How do we make it more usable? And so on and so forth. So yeah, one way to expand this app would be to integrate additional smart ID-like solutions that are present in the other countries. So one such app would be Ausweis app, but this one is being used in Germany. We could integrate it and essentially allow 80 million people to also use this app and create proofs about themselves. And there are many other apps in other countries, but I think one of the more exciting ways we could fetch this data is try to fetch it directly from our plastic ID cards using the NFC chips. So this is a wild idea, I guess, and it's not clear if it's even possible to implement that. The NFC technology and browser integration is quite a new thing, but there are various apps that use it. For example, there are a number of Android apps that allow us to scan our ID cards and fetch information into our phones directly from the plastic card. But these are Android apps. Ideally, what we want is to fetch it directly to our web app. There's a lot of other people that are thinking about the same. And in fact, even the former CEO of Mina has also presented his idea. And I think his idea follows the same logic. So a number of people are thinking along the same lines. So, okay, so that's the one side, fetching personal data. How about where do we store these proofs? So essentially, storing these proofs have to be implemented in such a way that it's easy for people who create proofs to store them, and it's also easy for companies or whatever third parties who consume these proofs to consume them, right? So one way we imagined it would be really easy to do that would be to use Google and Apple wallets. And here's a demo example of how it looks like when we researched it. So essentially what we could do is we take the proof and put it, not necessarily directly, but put it into our Google or Apple wallet and just have this QR code. So imagine if I come to a club and I need to prove that I'm 21, I'm older than 21 years of age, I just take my phone and give this QR code. So that would be very convenient. And inside the QR code, we would hold this information. That would be the IPFS hash. So we would essentially encrypt the proof and push it to IPFS. So now if we have a pointer to the IPFS item, we can fetch it, we can decrypt it using the secret key, and then simply validate it. So these would be the steps that would be implemented by the third parties that want to consume them, right? But these are the things we are researching. We haven't implemented them yet. So this is basically the future of this app. What we are working on next. So that is integrating Google and Apple wallets, and then integrating other ways to fetch personal data into it. Also, another milestone for us in the future is to update the UI and make it more user-friendly and whatnot. But yeah, so this is kind of the future vision of it. Yeah, I think mostly done.
Yeah, well done, Raidas. And congratulations. So is there any questions from our crowd, the audience?
I
Mine isn't
see.
so. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think I think I really appreciate how you pivoted, not necessarily away from just another Oracle that can be called on, but actually to kind of like think through the user journey and how people will be using it. And I think will serve as a good example for other people thinking, coming into the ecosystem and looking not just at libraries, but also tools that are like user ready. So I'm really curious about what we can do further with this and how we can, use it as a kind of an example on the UX side of zk program and really like explaining it as an educational tool. But then also I'm curious about how we can like you mentioned, plugging into other regions or other kind of trusted sources. So not so much, a question, but just it's been really cool to see this evolve. And for those also on the call, I remember when Rydus came first into the ecosystem and his first zk app was proving 2+2 with an explainer next to it. So you've come a really long way. And I think, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Yeah. So just to add up on that, well, in fact, I was reached out by two people that were studying in Berkeley. So their professor essentially was familiar with Mina, and these two people essentially wanted to solve similar problems, and now we are teaming up and are thinking of collaborating and just pushing this whole product further and just keep working on it. I mean, we're excited about it. I think this is a cool project. We can definitely push it forward, I think. So yeah, this is like real cool.
I think it's really cool. I'm working on the project Oscar it's more with healthcare data, but I have the same problematics. How do you manage the proof? How do you store them? Sometimes you don't want to store them in the blockchain and wait and just store for yourself. So I think it's very inspiring the way you present it, and maybe I will also start to discuss with you in the overall design. And there's also the aspect of Oracle signatures. How do you manage them? If you need to replace them for security for some reason, how do you manage that? And I think there's also an interesting design on Oracle signature, maybe with ProtoKit to manage how you add more supported signatures and on specific use case. So it would be interesting to discuss that, I think.
Yeah, cool. You can drop me a DM on Discord.
Yeah. And I think you're quite using the same stack. I saw you're using Vue.js frontend also. Yeah,
right. Are you using Vue.js as well, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Also, there's a Telegram group that Talha from Mina community created. I wonder if you're part of it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think this was a really great initiative. So essentially, Talha wanted to bring all of the teams and individuals that are working on identity problem using Mina to one place. And so I'll drop you a DM in Discord.
Yeah, perfect.
And
I have made some progress I can share, so yeah.
Cool. Yeah, let's talk further.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking into the comments and I see Ivan saying that this reminds him of the zk Pass. Yes, so there's quite a number of projects that are trying to tackle the same problem. zk Pass is one of them. I think they're really good. I think they're the best example there is. They've come the most far. Yeah, so this is a good example. I've been researching them as well. Cool.
All right, thanks. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Rydus. I think I also see the comment of John. You've been really a great presenter. So thanks for the materials and explaining it clearly in a line. Yeah, appreciate the work that you have been doing from day zero, like in the Mina ecosystem.
Cool. Okay, thanks.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to add that from code samples that you shown, I can see that just a small feedback from code samples that they are very clean and understandable from the presentation. Like as a reader, I I really appreciate your it's a clean code. So this is a good example of using GPU programs and using the proofs inside smart contracts. That's good.
Thanks.
All right, let's continue with Arnold. If you're
Yeah, can I start, or Marek, do you want to say something?
No, sorry, I just wanted to clap and I accidentally raised my hand. Sorry.
Then I can start. So I'm first gonna make like a little introduction. So I've kind of changed around my original milestones because I came across this VS Code dev. It's called VS Code for Web. And what I wanted to do is integrate my backend and tooling into a VS Code for Web build. So basically you can compile VS Code for Web. So I've created like my own, it's called Web IDE. Create my own VS Code for Web build in order to make like a local version of what you see here. You can see that local build over here, like you see, local host. And what I wanted to do is connect my backend, my Mina Playground backend to it. And also create some tooling like that you can actually run the project within VS Code for Web. And also deploy smart contracts. So what I did is I first started with a VS Code web container application. It's I think it's the first working web container extension for VS Code for Web, because there was one other one, but it didn't work for me. So that's why I created my own one. So basically what this is like an extension that you can, it's not published yet, but as soon as I publish it, it's an extension where you can run your project within VS Code for Web. So I can also show that within a few. So that's what I first needed in order to support that. Then I created a Mina kit, which combines the VS Code web container and also deployment functionality. And you can also add some other logic on top of that. Then I worked on a VS provider, which is basically a file system provider, so I could connect my backend. But then I kind of realized it was kind of hard to do that after a while, and also it wouldn't give me that much benefits in comparison with just the Mina kit and the web container extension, because if I release those two extensions, besides the Mina Playground, which I will go over next, but then you can already run your applications within VS Code, and VS Code for Web already has Git control, etc. So you can, the idea right now was to create those extensions on top of Mina Playground, so you can decide what you want to do. So you can choose VS Code for Web and run your applications and have some Mina tools within VS Code for Web, or you can decide to use the Mina Playground, but then it's not part of VS Code for Web. So they are now two separated things. But yeah, so that's basically what's new. So I can show it here. So this is the VS Code extension. So this is mainly focused on VS Code for Web. So as soon as I release this, it will be available to test that on the official website. I'll just copy paste this, otherwise I have to cd into the contracts, install everything. So now it will basically go to contracts, install the packages, O1ES, cd into the UI, install that, and then run the development server. So it might take some time. So this is basically a terminal that's initialized, and you can just execute and run projects that you have here on the left. So now it runs the development server. So as soon as it does that, it will open a preview tab here, as you see. Right now it's just white because it's loading in the application. So here you can see loading web worker. So this is just a basic zk app. But I can show you some things. So for example, so this is all within a VS Code for web environment that wasn't possible before. So for example, if I change it here, it will reflect the changes, test 1 to 3. You can also send a transaction, etc., but not gonna do that right now. And I also have some deployment functionality within this kit. It's still experimental, so I'm gonna try to see if it works and check the terminal to see if we can do it as a live demo. We'll first close this. So here you can, and also I'm gonna go through it a little bit quick because I have a lot more to show, but this is more like a proof of concept right now. So you can define a path. So usually it's, for example, contracts, but you can define another path if that's what you have right now. Then you can select a smart contract. So it automatically fetches all the smart contracts from that given contracts path. And then you can click on deploy. Let's see if it's gonna work. So I don't have any feedback right now here because I will add that later, but it's this part is still experimental, so I'm kind of testing it out. So here you can see it's successful. So it's gonna take a while before it's visible, but you have to trust me that it's working, and otherwise you can check this link later because here it will become visible. But so I still have to add some functionality here that shows if it's successful or not, some UI parts, but the logic is working here. So this is basically the Mina kit. It was not part of my proposal, but I kind of wanted to go this way because it would be really nice if I could implement everything within VS Code for web, but some things were really hard to do so. So I decided to make those extensions available or work on those extensions, and then you basically have everything you need if you want to use VS Code for web. So I think that's enough about the VS Code for web part. So then on top of that, I've released the tutorial logic. So you can now go to the Mina playground, follow some tutorials. Here you can execute the tutorials, but this is already showed something similar during my cohort 1. So I'll not go through all of this, but some things I also improved. For example, you only install the O1JS once right now. So you can see if I navigate through different tutorials, it doesn't have to install it again. I also only serve specific files from the tutorial. And also I only load in base files once. So if I do this here, base files, you can think about Babel, Jest, config, package.json, config, Jest, etc. I can show how that looks like here. So in the code, you have tutorials. You can define different tutorials. Then you have like meta information. You can define everything you want. If you want to use a base, which value you want to highlight, which value you want to focus on, the type. I thought I heard something, but so here you have the base. So this only loads in once, and it also only installs O1JS once. So you can just navigate through all the tutorials quickly. And then I'm now gonna run something else. So now I'm gonna show what I've been working on for the Mina Playground itself. So also created some other functionality there, which was part of my original milestones. So for example, I now have an overview of projects, which you can create, edit, or I'll just go through this one, test 1, 2, 3. Make it private. You can delete a project. You can here create a new project, for example, smart contract. We can choose a template. We can then create a project. Then it will redirect to the project itself. It will automatically install the packages. In this case, it's only O1.js. You can also add some packages here, so it will automatically also push them to the package.json. So here you see it has been changed. You can also remove it. It will automatically remove it. You can also make some changes here. So for example, if I change the name here, I remove this information. Then we have like a save all button. So as soon as we press that, it will save all the changes you've made. And then you will have the option to commit it. It's not a real commit right now. It's more like my own basic Git implementation. So as soon as you open it, you see the files that have been changed. You can give it a commit message, for example, changed files. Commit has been pushed. You can then go to check commits. Here you have an overview of your project commits. So you can click on one, you can open different files, and you see here the reflected changes. Here you can see we removed the export add. Here we've added 1, 2, 3. So it's basically, yeah, like my own basic version control that I've added here. Yeah, you can also, so we have this dependency manager I showed. We have the save all, we have the commit, we have the fork functionality. With the fork functionality, we can create like a, yeah, like copy this project. So we can say smart contract fork, and it will automatically, yeah, go there. I think, let's see if I have some other things to show, because I also have some code. So a lot of things, yeah, were changed and are different now than my original proposed milestones. So I've implemented my own basic version control. I'm now reusing the web container process. So I only have to install O1.js once. Yeah, I've made a lot of performance related fixes and improvements. Also fixed the memory leak, released the interactive tutorials on production. Implementation of One.js in Next.js and React using different components. So that's the project you saw here. So it's basically like a small, it's pretty basic, but it's just like separated components. So it makes it a little bit easier to navigate through a basic ZK app. Because I think on the original project, like if you initialize a ZK app project, it has like everything all over the place. Now it's just a basic setup, like separated with components and some functionality here in a hook. So yeah, the reason why about the VS Code for web is that why I wanted to do it like that is because, for example, StackBlitz also is using VS Code for web. And I thought it would be nice to implement that within Mina Playground. But yeah, as I showed earlier, it's kind of hard to implement everything within VS Code for web. And also not everything is supported. For example, when I compile my own VS Code for Web build, then not all plugins are supported. So there were some limitations about that as well. So that's why I decided to create those extensions and then create my own logic in the playground, like you see here. So it's also because I spent quite a lot of time on the extensions. I didn't finish all my original proposed milestones, but I'm planning to do that during Navigator's program as well, and also see what I can improve. Maybe I'm gonna add some real Git logic, but I have to check if that's really necessary or if this basic approach is also fine. And also have some other things to do, like I also want to add some Git clone functionality, which I don't have right now. And of course, authentication. So you can actually, just log in and create specific projects for yourself, which are private. So I think that was most of what I wanted to show. I can also show some code if you'd like, but not sure if there are any questions I can.
Thanks, Arnold. I think this has been great. Let's see if there's any questions.
Can't understand, why do you think that having same developer experience? It's not really supposed to be better, but it's more to onboard new developers and give them like a first experience. For example, the tutorials are also like a good way to onboard new developers by just testing out some things and
and
going through it.
Also, I totally agree with you. Like most of the like developer ecosystems, I mean, they have these playground tooling. They're like for new people, newbies, to start very easily without commitments or like installing like CLIs. So I'm on the same page with you, Arnold. Ivan, please.
Yeah, I totally agree that having something the same as Remix for Ethereum, for example, is a good thing to have in Mina ecosystem. But anyways, like I was just a bit confused by your phrase that you told that you have like something like your own Git implementation within this project. Like this, I think this is an overhead.
Like overkill, do you mean? Because I kind of agree if we don't. That's why I now decided to create some basic version control by myself, and also didn't spend that much time on that, but instead.
Okay. No worries. It's just a part of UI. Okay. Another question that I had, which is more important, is that like having such a developer to developer tool is very good in zkIgnite program. Like I'm really happy to have the project like yours, which is developer oriented and which uses the interaction with Mina protocol. And I wonder if you have any how to say, like, have you tested it on some focus groups on developers? Like, do you have some developer feedback from like what audience do you have, or have you already tested it on real audience?
The tutorials, the interactive tutorials, has been used by like I think almost 30 people right now, and the other things like the project management and IDE are not live yet, but I'm planning to do that as soon as possible. Even if there are some bugs remaining, I will just make that available for testing as well. And if people find something, I'll just fix that on the road. And also, I think the main goal is also to provide some tooling for developers. So it's not just, for example, it's also the reason why I kept some other functionality quite minimal in my own playground for now, because I want to focus more on some tooling like deployment step through UI. I think things like that will really benefit from when you want to onboard new developers, because you can just, click on a few buttons, you initialize a project, you click on another few buttons, you generate a key. I didn't show that, but I already had it in the previous. I think my server is offline, but okay, refresh. But I didn't show that right now, but you can also here, for example, deploy your contract. But that's was already part of my other proposal. So that's why I didn't show that right now, but this is already working.
Really great, cool to have it. I just like, my idea was just that it is really important to test that on real developer audience, because in the end of the day, like, your project is targeted on developers. So it would be good to have like some feedback from developer audience, and it would be good to see the like the next steps of what I am aiming to do product wise, considering this feedback you received.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because my first priority right now is also to make at least part of this available as soon as possible, like that you can create your own project and play around with it, deploy your contract. I also have a Discord group for that, also a Twitter account, so I can just publish it in there and then get some feedback from real users. Yeah.
Cool. Nice to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, well done, Anut. And I think we are really lucky to have you in the ecosystem, like for both first and like second cohorts. So like the progress you're making is, I think, incredible.
Yeah, thanks.
So let's continue with some AI. Lee, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's now your turn. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Let me turn on my video so you can see my face. Yeah, cool. Happy to see you guys, and I'm very excited to share the stuff with you. It's like, yeah. I will start with briefly recall of the target, the whole project, and then give a description of how the zk machine learning works, and the details what I have done, and maybe then we can test some examples. Because I'm using a new computer today, and so which means it's like I repeat the whole process of the environment setting and let's say use the library. So then we can choose a library we want to try or model we want to try together, and then I will run this model, all this stuff in this new computer. For all from the and you can see if it works. I'm not sure because it's a new computer, so let's hope it will work. Let me share my screen. Okay. I think I can share the whole screen. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so you can see my screen now.
Yes, we see it.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so okay, cool. I'm working on SnarkML. I want to enable not previous or SnarkJS, but no OneJS, but actually it's Mina for machine learning.
We just lost your voice, Lee. You're muted. Let me check with him. Yes. Yeah, we hear. Yeah, we hear.
It's not annoying.
Okay. No.
So cool. Say if it's maybe some issue or some.
No worries. Lee, are you there? Okay. Okay, let's. Andreas, are you here? Maybe while he's testing the mic, we can just fixing the mic. We can like have you present.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Try to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, I'm presenting Mina for the second time in cohort 1. I started with a small project basically to adjust my scripts. And for cohort 2, I made a proposal, and I had ideas to make it more usable and build more tools for developers that is more more practical to use in the everyday life for a developer. And my focus group are ZK beginners, not experts. And my goal is that new Web3 developers have an easy step into Mina and get in the first, let's say, in the first 10 minutes, something done. And the first idea I had was to build a small key management system. In the proposal, there's are many. I said I want to build an encryption. I did this here. Now all the private keys are encrypted, and the secret is inside this file. But you can also put this file somewhere on your computer and make a variable and then refer to the secret. This was one feature I want to implement. Then the pattern finder feature. This is basically the idea that you have here a naming system. This also featured in the naming system. You have like a unique name here, and my pattern finder finds a address which has a specific pattern that you can recognize if you go to an explorer, that you can recognize. Okay, this is Alice, or let's say here Bob. You have Bob, and the address is in the end BB. I mean, I can basically it's a whole module. The module is where's the module? Here. It's basically a full module. You can find a lot of patterns but I decided that I go with the minimal pattern because it takes, let's say, a minute or so to find an address with 2 characters. And if you go with more, then it takes extreme more time. And then the same I did for contracts also. All the contracts you can store are encrypted, and same with the secret here. And all the contracts have names and a project name, and all the accounts have a name and a group name. And this is basically a private naming system, and it becomes much more clear what I do if I show you the structure I decide to go with in the projects folder. The basic idea is basically that you can import multiple projects into this folder. And the reason for that is, let's say you are in the Mina Navigators program, and you are in the Learn to Earn category, and you get an exercise. And my idea was, how can I create a tool which you could theoretically use for Mina Navigators? And I came up with this idea of small projects. You have a backend folder, you have a contracts folder, and you have a front end folder. And in these folders, you can have files, and you can see here here's the script, and then here's the corresponding markdown file. And you can see it's basically an explainer for that script. And my idea was to create like a structure for a project. And if I have a structure for a project, I can create an importer and an exporter for that project. And the goal was to create one file that you can share in a Discord channel, for example, to the audience and say, hey, download this file. And here's the project. And there are all the other files inside in the right folder and so on. You can also do this with GitHub, but I thought, Mina, the unique use case of Mina is that you can also do stuff private. And to share everything on GitHub, you can decide to do that if you want to. But I thought this would be also the uniqueness is more unique. You can share it inside a file. And if you create such a file, for creating such a file, I create a small CLI. And here you can see what you can do, add accounts, add a template. Let's go with export. And you can see I have here one project, Hello World. I can export it. I can give it a name, zkIgnite. Encryption. Do you want to encrypt it? You can also encrypt the file. I say, yes, I want. Make a password. And then I have basically this file. And this is a data URL. If you import this data URL, you can see what you can see is the name, the description, when it was created, and the content is encrypted. And to import this file, you take this file and put it inside of the root folder. Import, or yeah, Mina, import project. And then here you can find the corresponding file. And this was the password test. Yep, and here I have my exercise or my homework or something from my teacher, and I can see here all the files. Currently, the Markdown is not integrated, but this is a small bug fix. Yeah, this is the project importer. I think this is a very, very cool feature, and I cannot wait to try it out. I saw Marek's presentation, and he said you can interact with the smart contract, and I thought, wow, I can create a small project and make scripts and so on, and I can share it on the Mina Discord with other people and so on, and then more people can try out his awesome app. Yeah, and the last thing was, or big feature, is I created a small server, and what you can see here is basically I started the server and said use the project hello world, and then the server exposes some information to the local host. I also can show the README. The README gets translated in the Markdown gets translated into HTML, and yeah, this is one thing. And the next thing is you can also see your credentials. And this is I think it's a very nice thing to see all your credentials. You can see here the faucet transaction, or the address of your contract and so on. And all these requests here, what is the status, is made also with a module from I made in this cohort. Where is it? Mina Data. It's called Mina Data. It's basically a small wrapper around this currently two GraphQL endpoints. And yeah, I want to make a small module, and it works on the server. I use it on the server, and I also use it here on the front end. Okay, this was what I did also. Yeah, and then this was not in the proposal itself, but I also created a Mina Data API. And the idea was to create a custom GPT, which you can use to get the status of a transaction and so on. But unfortunately, I had to deprecate this adventure, I would say, because currently it's pretty unclear in which direction the GraphQL API goes. What is a archive node, for example? You know, the old what was the name? Mina Explorer has a very extensive API, but this API gets deprecated and is old and it's not reliable anymore, I think. and the new one is pretty minimal. And I decided to wait until I have a clear understanding what's going on. But I also shared my experience to build a tool like this, basically, also on Medium. And I also created, where is it? Yeah, here, a CLI for downloading repos, basically to make a custom Mina bot and so on. And I will continue experiment with with custom GPT, especially yeah, what we need basically in the community is a naming service. We need something like ENS, and if we don't have this, yeah, I can also create something with Easy Mina, because all the addresses here has names, and you can also teach the AI these names. But in the long term, we need an ENS system. Yeah, and this is basically what I did in this cohort. The documentation, there I have to say, I did a little bit of documentation, but I failed to make the international part. I thought I can implement it with ChatGPT, but this failed. And basically all the other features are so brand new that I cannot come up so fast with writing and documentation. But this is the next step to make a better, proper documentation, and also add the internationalization part. Yeah, that's it, I think. Let's see. I have here something. And tests everything. What I basically did is I spent a lot of time on input validation to make good error messages for beginners. This was for me extremely important, and you can see a lot of validation stuff. Yeah, with good explanations what's going on and so on. And where is the validation stuff? Yeah. Let's see. This was for me extremely important that the user know what's going on, especially if you're new, and sometimes the error messages also from snarky.js or O1.js is a pretty cryptic, and if I can do something to help the user, then I jump in and do my extra work for them. Yep. That's it.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing, Andreas. Are there any questions from
Thank you.
From the participants here to Andreas?
Yeah,
Will,
yeah,
please.
really nice work, Andreas.
Thank you.
This question, it's not so much a question around what you built, because I think it makes sense, and I also see the need clearly for the name service through this and before. But I guess it's kind of for you and Arnaud. It's like we should probably have a follow-up discussion around as the speed of development is expected to continue. What are the ways that, like, whether, I don't know if it's working more closely with the O1 Labs team, or you know, I'm scratching my head just around what's the best way to make sure that both Mina Playground and Easy Mina don't become artifacts that were from a time in Mina previously, and how do we make sure that like these continue to develop alongside the language that's developing so fast. And I'm not asking for an answer. It's something that I'm kind of scratching my head around, because it's like, I think for anybody who comes across Easy Mina or Mina Playground tomorrow or the next 2 weeks, it's like going to be really, they both are really helpful and kind of are attacking 2 different parts of the development journey. But I'm kind of wondering, what the best kind of way to go forward is.
Yeah, maybe one thought about it. The Berkeley network was resetted, I think, in September. There's so much going on. It's really also a problem, and this for me personally, the API, the APIs, this is the crucial point. Before in September or in August, I thought, hey, I can go forward with the Mina Explorer API, and I can fetch transactions and the Mimo hash and so on. In October, it's deprecated. And this is for me like I made in August, for example, I had an idea for an inscription service on Mina. In August it works, and in October I think, oh man, shit, this is not working anymore, and this is really a problem. I also expressed my concerns in the Discord channel. People said, yeah, it's innovation and it's go forward, but in the Bitcoin community, in ordinals, they have like the same discussion. They have the same discussion in innovation. And the ordinal started 1 year ago, and it was a small project. 1 year later, you have 40 million transactions. And the developer said, yeah, I want to go forward, innovation. And then it was a big backlash from the community, because they said, hey, we need a little bit slowdown that we can come up with the infrastructure for it. And only my feelings, because in the last 2 months or so, I thought a lot about it. And it's okay if Minascan only supports actions and events in their archive node. It's okay. If this the new standard, then I can adjust. But in August, I thought the standard is that transactions are also included, and the Mimo hash and so on. And this is really important to think about. What is an archive node, or what is the standard for that? But maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I don't have not a lot of. Maybe I have to talk to the right people inside of the API infrastructure. But this is one. Yeah. But this is one of the biggest hurdles, I think, also for scaling.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe us and Ivan, that's something that we should just as like that's an easy follow-up discussion with the engineering team that we can highlight. That's a very that's some low-hanging fruit. I'm sure they've heard it before, but just as a takeaway, let's make a note of that.
I think Ivan had a question, or did I saw this wrong?
Ivan?
Yeah, nothing to say. Actually, I just commented that maybe it's good to have when we have developer to developer projects, and maybe it's good to have joint proposal by people who contributing to DevTools.
Yeah. What was the question? Sorry.
I think it's not a question.
Ah, okay.
No, it's not a question. It was just a side comment. Maybe it's irrelevant. So yeah, let's go on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? I think not. Or Will?
No, Andreas, but thank you. And again, I think for both Arnaud and Andreas, like let's, especially if we're moving, depending on what happens with zkIgnite Cohort 3 and navigators, let's very keen to just like continue this conversation around like if there's things that we can do to help both of you kind of focus on, as you're focusing on the developer onboarding journey, then it needs to kind of be a constant conversation, I think. So I know it's been frustrating so far. I also think, to your point, it's kind of like it comes with growth and it comes with shipping at the speed that the team does, but let's work on it together.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's fun to work with Mina, and I'm looking really forward to this year to finally have a tool like this project exporter and importer to make scripts and get in interaction with other developers, and for me right now the fun begins. The hard work, this was the hard work, like creating this key management system or structure and project management system, and now I want to make examples and go out with it, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Fantastic.
To this year. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Right. Thanks a lot, Andreas. Last but not least, Lee, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you.
Amazing, cool. Finally, yeah. If anything wrong, just send me a message or just raise your hand. I will. Okay. Let me start sharing, and hopefully this time it will work. It's working, right? You can hear me.
Yes, it's working. Yes.
Screen.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Cool. And okay, let's continue from the previous one. So basically, I prepared to deliver the base library, machine learning libraries, some translators, templates for some representative models, and to pave the way for the future generator. And actually, I can say that we have more to deliver today. That's very happy. And here I want to let you know the basic zk machine learning procedure, so that you have idea what the whole picture of the application scenario and how to use the library. First, you train a model with Python with any tools you like, and you need to prepare all the inputs, outputs, and also some intermediate data. That's a difference between, that's a very key difference between the static ML and other zk machine learning tool. So you will see that it brings some very interesting benefits here. And then you need to generate the proof and then verify it. So basically for the base library, I want to, let's directly go to the deliverables. So for the base libraries, I have more than expected deliver. And actually it should be 12, but the 12 one is really hard because of the OpenJS doesn't have the square root for integers. So basically, I need to write an integer. So I'm for that one, I'm implementing the integers, but I can show you some in progress code later. You can see the progress. But overall, I have more than expected basically machine learning library delivered, and I read more test case, actually much more test case for these libraries. And also, I deliver 4 translators here with decision tree, with linear regression, with logistic regression, and XGBoost. So basically, I replace the random forest and also the neural network with XGBoost, because it's more friendly for low computation power case, because the proof is already very expensive. So if we want to support a very expensive neural network, that guarantee you require some very powerful computer to do so. And we want to say that the proof can be done by a normal computer laptop also. So that's also the result I discussed with the author of the Circum machine learning Circum ML library, the Dr. Kelsey. She gave some hints about that, and also she gave some challenges regarding that. And I have 5 tutorials here you can follow. And this is a timeline. Basically, you know that because of some issues with misunderstanding some part of the application. So I use let's say my advanced budget is just 2,000 USDC, which means I cannot ask anybody extra help and so need to finish all this stuff for now. But luckily, we have all the things here now. And one more thing is like it's not expected while prepare the application, but now we have more to deliver. It's like the first thing is online verification and pave the way for on-chain proof. What the online verification here means? It means that usually when you prepare verification key for the machine learning, zk machine learning proof, basically because it's close related to some intermediate. You need to hard code some intermediate inputs and outputs, and which makes the verification only works for this input and this model with these parameters. If you change the input, then everything needs to be recomputed again. And here I prove that I can also show that with the Snark ML library. Once you generate a proof for a model, then you can apply arbitrary input and still use the same verification key, get this input and output verified. It's very friendly for on-chain. You can just simply put this verification on-chain, then you can any other people can call this verification key to verify different inputs according to their application scenario. And another thing is new int 64, actually the new int for the square root and other stuff. So let's go for the example of the structure of the code here, the library here. This is libraries. This is the models. You can say I write the model into the translator of the model into a notebook. So basically, it's like a tutorial. People can simply follow the instruction one step by step to get the final code of the O1JS here. And also the test here. The tester file here is, sorry. Okay, yeah, we can see that. So I write more text file to say some if there's some age saturation, and so here I just run the test again. You can see all the tests suite and test have passed. So that's very nice, and because we want to have a stable thing for the users, for developers. And okay, and because I take some lessons from the last presentation, and since we have more time this time, So basically, I want to let you know something about the machine learning stuff here. And what's let's say how this library can be used with machine learning. We use something with develop the library for curves, and it's a very famous and well-known one, and actually also be included in PyTorch and TensorFlow now. So you can see this is TensorFlow, and this actually some curves layers. And then how this part how this library work how the machine learning works here. You prepare input, define the model and optimization loss function, and then train. And you can see this is an example for the training. You import some models, you define the layers, and then do the training part. And you can see here, this is a dense function. And we also have the same dense function here. They are same thing. So, but this one is implemented with OpenJS, all these fields integers, and it's provable. So, what we can do is here we train the model, like we add all these layers step by step, and train the model to identify the different handwritings. That's a very famous example for curves. But I didn't put time into this model because this model is just a toy model. I don't think anyone will really use that in a real application scenario. But I focus on the reinforcement model, you know that before. So basically, you add all these layers one by one, and in our snacking ML, it basically means that you just import. You just import this one and add something like this. Yeah, just import zkMoid and call this zkMoid function. So this just mimic the real Python code. It would be very friendly for the Python developer and machine learning developer to understand what's happening in the proof part. But I can give you an example of other very representative way to implement the same thing. This is the same zkMoid function implemented by Dr. Casey for her famous second library for machine learning. And you can say this one is really different, right? So not only the writing style is different, because for any people from machine learning community, if you simply send this file to them, say this is zkMoid function, you try to use it, they will feel lost, totally lost. What you need to observe is equal here, and what's wrong with you to add something other observed here, and what's a tempo here. And why I need to pre-compute the output and reminder. Can you simply compute that output for me? And also the reminder. Reminder is really reminder. And but for us, the code is very simple and clear. So you can see the whole progress. I will calculate the reminder here in between. The developer doesn't need to care about the intermediate outputs. They just give the initial input and assert with the final output. That's all. And if we want to use this zkMoid function in the Python, you need to prepare much more things. For example, here this is Dr. Casey's Python notebook for zkMoid function preparation. Because Yes. And no, this is not the preparation for the input output. I think there's some input JSON. Let's say average polling. Yeah, you know, say you need to here the array polling is simple. You just simply translate the array polling into out and remainder into the integer, big integer here. But you still need to calculate the remainder here. Well, that's very unnatural for the machine learning developers because usually they deal with something like naturally because Python naturally do the division mode for them for them. They don't care about that. And here we don't really need the remainder. And all this preparation part, you can simply use the same thing. And also we have some very representative libraries, average polling and batch. Okay, I can also show you how the average polling and different libraries works. I think no. I think we should have a figure here to show how the polling works. Yeah, here, maximum polling. Maximum polling is like you define the mask, which means the matrix, the size of the matrix. You have the original data here, it's a matrix, two-dimensional matrix, and you define the polling mask for the matrix, which means it's like a 2 times 2 dimension mask. Within this mask, you find for the mask polling, you find the maximum value in this part, and for average, you calculate the average value here. And for the first mask, you get 6 is the biggest one, largest one, and the second is 8. So that's a similar thing. And for us, here is maximum polling, and it does exactly same thing with provable. And okay, I think that's all already 15 minutes, and that's all the parts for the introduction. And then let's try some proof. Try to use some proof. You can choose one. Which one do you want to try? Here we have linear regression, logical regression, and decision tree here. And XBoost is just 2 contacts here in list, and also some libraries. You can just tell me which one you want to try, and we can test it in this new computer first time. And just finger crossed it will work. So yeah, any ideas? Will, Yasin, or any other guys? Marco, do you have any library you want to, or model you want to try? Some input output data you want to try?
I'll follow whatever you want to try. Like, let's try something. Yeah.
Okay, let's just simply try the most representative one. Let's try this one. Let's try the decision tree. And so you know the decision tree, how the decision tree works, right? No, maybe I can give a decision tree is a very typical decision-making process, which it has been applied in all the everywhere. Basically, you have some features you want to determine something, make a decision. Let's say the feature is, for example, the feature is which restaurant you want to go, and considering the location, the price, the food, and the time. So basically, for the first layer, you say, okay, is this my for this input features? Is this my favorite phone? If it's yes, if it's no, then okay, we should finish. We should stop at here. If it's yes, then I ask the second question, and if it's a available location, and then following this, if it works, then we do the following stuff, and then we get a final decision here. And for this one, we use database data set provided by the sklearn. It's a representative data set, the years, to identify the different type of years. And here we already run this today, just run it several seconds ago, and some minutes ago actually. And then we have some classifiers here, and this is our decision tree. We have a translator to translate this decision tree into our ONJS code. So we get this part, and then we simply copy paste that into our main.js file, and here is the, let's see, this one is our decision tree model, and then we can test our decision tree model in this way. Let me just uncomment it. And just uncomment it, and let's comment this part. And so do it again. So here all the inputs are 500, and the identifier, the type should be the second type of the years. So let's see if it can just similar as the ideal one we get from the Python code here. If we use the same, apply the same data to the Python code, we should get the same one. And let's compute. Anyway, while waiting for the computation, I would like to take some questions if you want to know.
Yeah, hello, Lee. How are you?
Hi.
I think it's very interesting. I promise you that I will test on the model, but I haven't had enough time. But I think it's very interesting, and I think maybe it could be interesting also for the next cohort to have to propose a project where you build an application using that. And I saw some interesting use cases using zkML. And for example, there was one. I'm always involved with Wesker, which is called zkDoctor. That was built with EasyQuell, and I wonder if it can be done with your solution. And I think it could be an interesting thing to propose for the next cohort. So the basic principle of zkDoctor is a web application where you can prove you had a certain diagnosis using AI. Okay, so this project won a prize at NYC event, and I think like building a front end and a use case that is using your application could be like very valuable for the next cohort.
Yeah.
I can help you find a use case and for your proposal with pleasure. But I think it will also be very helpful to talk to the community, to have a front end and a concrete use case, because it's very interesting. And I need to dive deep. I'm not sure like all the dev community is experienced with Python. I have some experience, so I can also help in building that.
Yeah, that's true. I actually had a discussion with Marco several days ago, and I was planning to give a real case application here, but actually I spent more time on the extension for the integer. class here, and that takes some time. But yeah, I agree. And I also had a discussion with Astaki Bell, their team, and they are doing assessment for the different Bell machine learning model, and the scoring part can be improved already. So I already shared the tool with them, and I don't know what's the development progress for them now. But yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure, like on the I think it was on previous call, we had some people very experienced with front ends that could help you on Export. I think so. It's good to team up with a front end developer on this kind of project. I think for Export, would be very interesting to see that.
You mean that actually you mean it's for a specific application, or it's like for general proof system?
More like a proof of concept application.
Okay, I got your point. Yeah, I feel actually with front end could be very useful. Let's see. But I'm also wondering if like also zkDoctor is a very specific application. But my question is, if let's say if I put an application online or on chain, I want people to use that, or other people can use that. Do you think? Do you have any ideas which application zk machine learning application could be, let's say, useful for or interesting for other people?
Idea of application. I think it is something we can discuss also on the Discord. I would be providing some inputs to animate the conversation. I have this example I sent you. I think some example can be looked for also with EasyQuel. If you research what has been done with EasyQuel, they made probably some hackathon, etc. You can find some good ideas there. I think also the idea is also to show that what we are capable of doing with Mina, with zkML as well.
Yeah, actually, I had a discussion with their team before, and they're also very helpful team. But the general difference between EasyQL and us is like EasyQL they don't need to really leverage the Hello tool behind, and basically people use them for big models. Not that big, but big models compared with us. And I tried the O1JS. It's really hard to support some large models because it's like can be extremely slow. You can say the decision tree taking is already okay. I think it should be done now. You can say it's true, but it also take a while, right?
Okay.
That's a major challenge, and also the for the O1JS. That's why I also use XGBoost, because the tree-based one usually more efficient than the neural net-based one, because you don't have the loss function sigmoid. All the sigmoid loss function are very computational hard or the expensive thing. And yeah.
I think what would have been also interesting is like a document that summarizes also some of your conclusion, so that we can also read it and understand in more details what are the limitations that have been met. As a community, I think it's interesting for the developers to understand the limitation, so we can also be part of the discussion. So
yeah. I think I can write that down. I think the next step for me is more like I need to write more documents, instructions, and maybe make some videos to let people know how to use this stuff, because I feel it's still some burden. And let's say, because we have 5 minutes left, so 4 minutes left. So let's say the interesting thing, the bonus thing, if we can do the online verification and on-chain verification with different inputs, but with the same verification key here for the same model. Here I prepare the test case here from the 9 to 10, and I think it's here. So basically, let's, okay, sorry, not this one. And here we have, we use a linear regression. The simplest one as an example, linear regression is something like times x times coefficient times x plus y equals to plus intersection equals to y, something like that. And then we already have the model, and we compare it, have the verification key, and this is the first input. And we do the prediction, gets the answer, and also the proof. And we verify the proof here. And then we apply the different input. And of course, we will get different answer here, but we still use the same verification key. In some machine learning or in some machine learning, ZK machine learning tools, actually, you cannot do this. You need to recompute the verification key. But here, because we just simply mimic the original library, original Python library. So basically, they follow the same logic. That's why we can simply use the same verification key for the different things. Let's run it again, and I can show you it will works. Since I think I'm the last group today, so I mean, yeah, hopefully I may take 1 or 2 minutes.
Feel free to, like, yeah. You're the last.
Yeah, that's also something lucky in the unlucky, right? So it's making proof none, and yeah, let's waiting that, and I can show you something I'm working on now. Take some time actually. I want to extend the int 64 because it has a negative. This would be very friendly for the machine learning case, because you can see when I read the sigmoid is something like approximation for the sigmoid. A sigmoid, why is need to do the explanation? Because one is because of the integer. Another thing is because you cannot have the somehow like negative word in the field. And here, because we already have the integer here with negative, so which means it's still also possible to have a sigmoid. There could be more, it could be better and more precise than the sigmoid. And then I rewrite the construct for the inter, because previously when you I feel like Inter 64 is still on the development part of the ONGS. If you check I check the source code here, and it's different. It lacks a lot of methods compared with unsigned int 64. Like the comparison, like greater than, less than, and all this stuff. And also the constructor is very weird because it's because it has two fields here. The first is magnitude and also the sign here. And for other integer, for other parts like integers here, you can say only have one field, so it can simply extend the circuit value. And actually, circuit value should be deprecated. It should be replaced by the structure, but still there. So, and because I need to use greater than, less than, and also the square root, that's very important for some use case in machine learning. And I found out there's no choice. You need to rewrite it again. And I rewrite the constructor here so that you can just simply. Previously, you need to claim the int64 like this way. But all other things, all other parts like field, you can simply claim like this way. Every time you dot from it's really tedious, so I rewrite it and make it more consistent. And also this is the square root part, but the square root has some issues now. The greater than here gives a error message. This side some parts, some middle parts. We will discuss that later. And here you can see already, cool. And already we have already passed with a different output, 22, and also the 3, right? The first answer is 3, the second answer is 22 here. All of them can be verified with the same verification key. So that's all. And let me grab all the things we have. Now we have, let's say repeat, we have 11 libraries, 4 models, 4 translators, and 5 tutorials here. And we also have the online verification and still develop the integer 64. And my next progress gonna be, next plan during the navigator gonna be finish the new integer 64 and also make some videos too for the tutorial. And maybe let's say I also submit the application for the Hexen, so the Hexen organization, and that's the part I want to also use the chance to let people to try and build some application. So I think we all notice the same challenge here for apply the ZK machine learning in the Snack in Mina system ecosystem. So thanks Robin and thanks Marco for your valuable comments, and I'm happy to let you know I already take that, and let's see if it give some interesting thing. Yeah. Okay, I also finished. So yeah.
Awesome. That was very comprehensive and in detail presentation, Lee. I appreciate.
Yeah, thank you very much, and sorry for late.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Okay, then thanks again, all of you, and hope to see you soon. Yeah, good night. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Good night. Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.